Okay. Let's I'm just checking to make sure I'm actually getting audio recording this time before I get rolling. And it looks like I am. So, yeah. All right. So, I didn't get this caught on recording, but I at least have, a brain that remembers things. The last time we when we last left our heroes here, Earl was talking with Arnav, and there was a bit of a, call it a showdown, I guess, conflict, a big scene between Earl and Arnav, in which Arnav had, it had become evident that Earl had, sort of an ulterior motive, aside from the obvious one for bringing Arnav along, on this effort to get the Wisps back from Meridian Station, but not just that, but also to bring Arnav back to Lagrange Station and what all that entailed, because it would seem that Arnav was at one point in time an agent. It's always been known that Arnav, as Paladin, was an anti-corporate agent, working against interests like Meridian. That was sort of like the known thing. It came out as we were interacting with Lagrange that at one point in time Arnav was acting on behalf of Lagrange, which still kind of makes sense because Lagrange certainly doesn't get along with Meridian. That's been evidenced by a whole lot of violence between those two. They've been at loggerheads in the Lagrange system for quite a while now. So if he's known for working against the corporations and Lagrange is all about not working with Meridian, then why are they estranged from one another? Why is Arnav no longer part of this, and why does Lagrange want them back? These are all good questions. We do not have the answers to them, but we did go out of our way to kind of get Arnav on the ship. He helped a ton getting the Wisps out of Meridian Station, and then rather than going back to Glimmer like he apparently thought we were going to, we skipped right through the Glimmer system and on to Lagrange, and that's when he realized what was going on. It's a bit of a showdown there, in that it was testing our relationship, a little bit nerve-wracking to do that, but we made it past that, and then Earl tried to basically compel Arnav to go along with this and to at least go back and see what it was that Lagrange was after, which Arnav, not entirely willing to explain, but says he pretty much knows what Lagrange is after. And the compel came out as sort of a mixed success. The result being basically like he'll play along with it, but has something that he'll ask for in return. And that's exactly basically how he sort of says this thing. It's like, all right, I'll do this, but I've got something you need to do for me first. I will go back with you to them, but I need something from you first. And that was where we stopped. We don't know what that thing was. And that is where, if this were the TV show, that's the previously on thing. I need something from you first. And the next thing that we see is the Zebulon Harding coming out of drift in the Lagrange system, and immediately coming around and aligning to Lagrange, and we're in the cockpit, and we see Earl immediately like, Zeb, quick scan, we got anything in the vicinity? Any enemy ships? Negative, Earl. There are no Meridian forces anywhere. There's a pause. Actually, there's no Meridian ships anywhere on scan at all. I don't think there's any still left in the system. I don't like that curious. Maybe the station sent out a mayday and they all vacated the premises to head back there and help them. We just missed them on the way back. They might have a faster route than ours. Okay, let's head in for Lagrange, just like we talked about there, Zeb. Very well, Earl. All right, and we get opening comms. Hail Lagrange Station. This is the Zebulon Harding, Captain Earl Baxter. We have need of assistance. This is not a mayday, but we do have need of assistance. I need to get on the horn with either Kay or the station administrator. Again, Earl Baxter with the Zebulon Harding, calling Lagrange Station. Please respond. And we're going to... I mean, they're not going to put Kay on the line as much as Earl's asking for it. They're not going to put Kay on the line, obviously. But we do get, I'm going to say, Haid on the line. And... Hello, Captain. This is Administrator Haid. We weren't expecting you back so soon, although we appreciate the alacrity. Have you completed your mission for us? Negative. That is a negative on that. I'm not quite ready to deliver that particular goods, although I have been able to complete the vow that I had made to our mutual friend Kay. But that has presented a bit of a problem. I'm wondering if you can get them on the line with me. I don't want to cause any undue strain or risk to the station. It's very important to me that I not do that. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd very much like to get Kay on the horn here so we can talk about a way to kind of approach this situation, because it is a little bit more complicated than I expected at this point. I'm not sure that I understand. I don't exactly want to say. If you want to get on a secure comms, that's fine. But right now, I don't really want to say. There's complications, and some of them could lead to if I just come barreling in there, some risk for the station. I'd rather not do that. I need to talk to Kay because I need their assistance. And do I need to do a compel with this? I'm not sure that I do. Let's take a look at the move and see what we think. Try to persuade someone or make them an offer. Is there any real reason why they wouldn't just say yes to getting Kay on the line? I don't imagine so. Kay's comms are pretty interesting, though. I was listening to some of the early conversations with them, and so it's a little bit interesting. But I'm sure we can work out something there. It's like, does he actually have a voice box as such? Well, no, not as such, but the suit pretty much takes care of that. And honestly, if you just get him in the comms room, I'm sure they're going to be able to take care to handle the rest. Just get him where I can talk to him, and we'll explain things. Again, I'm going to suggest that we get on a secure line. I'm prepared to make a point-to-point broadcast so that we can have that conversation without risk of anyone overhearing. You're just going to want to make sure you're in a secure location. So we do that. The administrator is a contact, so at least as far as that goes, I don't think I probably need to compel the guy really to do this. So right, we're gonna just carry on with that. We're gonna cut to Kay being on the call for this thing, and yes, Earl. Earl, are you there? I am here, Kay. Thank you very much. I'm here. Zeb is here, and I tell you what, I got good news. The good news is we managed to recover all of the surviving wisps from Meridian Station. Now there were a few that didn't, I think, as near as I could tell from the evidence, that didn't survive. Just a few, but we have a few. There were six. I'm gonna say six. There were six that were recovered, which is just fantastic, and I'm really very happy about. But two of them were quite weak, Kay, and at least one of them, at least one of the other ones, the container has been modified in a way, and there's some risk to the ship, and I'm afraid that risk would be even worse on the station. What I need from you personally, Zeb, to finish up things here, I need you to come and help me stabilize the situation as much as possible so that we can safely take care of your wisps and get them to a safe place. Are you with me on that? Can I get, because I'm gonna need a little bit of help from Administrator Haid there as well to facilitate this. But I need you to come aboard here and help us out. Can you do that for me? Well, of course, Earl. I would do anything to help these small embryonic wisps. Embryonic, that's a good word. That is a $64 word if I ever heard one. Administrator Haid, do you think you can help out with getting Kay over here so we can stabilize the situation? As it stands, these creatures are, they radiate certain energies, as I'm sure you're aware. We've been able to stabilize things as well as we can over here, but you can see I've got the collar of a spacesuit on. We're far enough away on the ship where things are basically stable, but we've got them isolated because things are not safe. And they're too young to reason with, so they can control their output. So things are a little bit, you understand how there's some creatures where the smallest ones are the most venomous, and that's a bit what it's like here with these wisps. The radiation output is just uncontrolled, and it's not good for them, and it's definitely not very good for us. If we get them here on the station, that would be bad. I'd like to get them sorted out, and for that I think I'm going to need Kay's help to soothe them, if you will. Adult to child, as it were. Can you help us out with that? We need to get a shuttle or some, possibly just an escape, actually just an escape craft of any kind, a survival buoy of some kind to ferry Kay over here. That will actually probably be the most efficient because then there's no additional pilots necessary, and we can simply remote pilot them over to the ship and take care of things. Can we do that? And for this, I'm afraid I am going to actually need to do a compel. Because what we're asking for, we know that the first Concord, am I saying that right? The first Covenant is quite attached to these wisps and wraiths and tempests, and they have a prophecy of sorts, a prediction. so to speak, about these creatures, and they may not be best thrilled uh, with the idea of relinquishing K. Now they've said to be a safe place, and we've established that they're at a safe place. We finished a vow with getting K here and having that count as safe. So we know it's safe, but they may not necessarily be super thrilled about having K. So I think a compel in some case is going to be necessary. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. Now what we're doing here, it would look like a charm, pacify, encourage kind of thing. Certainly not as a threaten or incite, but actually what it is, turns out, is a lie. Where we're rolling plus shadow, because what's going on here is not what we're presenting to the station. So I am lying. So we're going to roll that. I don't think I get any bonuses on this because unlike, say, masks, I don't get a bonus just because the person is a contact. So, or yeah, a connection. So cross our fingers and hope for the best. That is a, that's not the best. That is a flat out miss. Okay, neat. I need to look at Earl's sheet. I'm a little bit surprised that we don't have any momentum left for that, but I guess looking at it, that is correct. We really don't. Okay, so that's a miss on the compel. That's not the best news I've ever heard. Let's take a look at the compel move here again. When you try to persuade someone, make them an offer, envision your approach. On a miss, they refuse, or they make a demand which costs you greatly. Pay the price. Let's take a look at the pay the price function, or the really, I mean, technically it's a move, but really it's as much an oracle as anything else. Or at least as part of it is. What's the oracle say? You waste resources. Nah, that doesn't resonate with me. You face the consequences of an earlier choice. I'm sure that's probably true. Okay. Okay. So Administrator Haid is silent for a bit there. Not really saying anything. And then he says, Captain Baxter, I'm afraid that I'm going to ask you to dock up with the station. There's no real need to send Kay across. We'll accept the risk. I don't think we don't believe here that the Wisps can really do any serious harm to the station. We are certainly hardened against many different kinds of unexpected energy effects. We believe that we can help you best if we're able to bring all the resources of the station to bear. So please continue to approach the station. We can dock up and see what we can help. If you've been able to survive with simply a spacesuit, I'm sure that we can keep things secured enough to bring you aboard, bring you alongside, have you dock up, and we can come aboard and help you out. I know many of the resources that we put onto the ship, on your ship before you left, should be enough to help you, and then you'll be able to get on your way as quickly as possible, having dealt with this request from our good friend here, Kay, and move on with the bow that you made to us. So please come alongside. And that isn't going to work out for me. So what I'm going to do instead, I said, all right, Kay, leave the suit, come to the ship. I need you to do it now. I need you to do that right about now, and right about then. You hear Haid say, what? Cut the comm! And then everything goes dead. And we're left staring out into space at the station. Now it's fairly distant, but it also has a lot of guns on it. So I'm somewhat there's a long tense moment here where Earl is left sitting at the cockpit, staring out the viewport that's looking at the station, and Zeb says, Earl, just wait and see what they're gonna do. And let's see what Kay does. And there's about maybe 30 seconds where they're it's like I'm not reading any particular engine. Just tell me if any of the guns are powering up or they're targeting us. Affirmative, Earl. I don't see anything yet. I don't see any there is an increased activity, and certain modules on the outside of the ship are activating, but I don't have. And right about then, the doors of the cockpit cycle open, and Fidget comes in, and she's like, what is going on? Why am I getting radios? Why is the administrator yelling at me? What did you do? I'm like, just wait. I'm sorry I wasn't able to explain this to you, but we needed Kay to come aboard, and Mr. Haid there didn't seem to want to let that happen, so I've asked Kay to expedite things. What does that mean, expedite? Why do you need him to come? Why do you need Kay to come over here? We can just go into the station, everything. And right about that, there's you can see the light on the side of Earl's face kind of gets brighter, and I turn and you see this bright spot up against the station, and it's getting bigger and brighter, and it's like, all right, Zeb, I need you to take that new heading that we discussed. All right, Earl. What is all this about? Is this something with Arnav? What's going on, Earl? I need you to trust me. I am doing everything I can to do everything that's been asked of me. And some of those things don't agree with one another as easily as it might seem. So you're just going to have to trust me. Or don't. I hope you do. But one way or the other, we're just going to have to trust each other. Now, I would suggest, because that light is getting a lot closer, that you either get back to your quarters or you get on a suit, because things are not going to be very secure in here for the first couple of minutes until we get Kay sorted out. And she goes off in a huff. I'm not really compelling that. It's just flat out dangerous for her to be in here, and she knows it. So she goes off in a huff. There will be something going on there pretty soon. And then I hit the comms and go, Paladin, you're going to want to come up here. And then I start putting on my own helmet. How long we got till he gets here? He's moving quite quickly for a non-ship, Earl, so he should be here. They should be here quite quickly. Excellent. Good to know. Let's hope this still works out the way that it was intended to. All right. And a few minutes, I think about just a little while later, as I'm getting the helmet on and stuff like that, we see the light is getting brighter and brighter. So, all right, let's see what's next. And once again, just like we did back in session 18 or 19 or whatever it is, we see K as an energy entity, just a sort of swirling ball of energy come in right through the front view, right through the front of the ship, right through the bulkhead. There's quite a few alarms that go off when they first come in, but also the light kind of dims, and we're given to kind of see that K is somewhat modulating this. I apologize, Zeb, that if I damaged any of your systems. No, I don't think so. I think everything is fine. Thank you for modulating your energy output. There may be some damage over an extended period, but right now you're doing a wonderful job. I think it would still be harmful to humans, but for myself, with my hardened systems, I should be fine. Oh, that is very good to hear. And again, outside of the suit, essentially the conversation with Zeb is happening via functionally radio waves, and Earl, as we established the first time that Kay came aboard, just hears this in his head, that's a whole nother thing to unpack that we're not going to get to right now. Why are you here? That's an excellent question, Kay. Zeb, keep us moving. And for that, I'm going to need one other person to explain, and right about then the door opens and we see Arnav walk in, and he's also in a suit. Arnav here is going to, well, we need you to go back to the engine room. And I've got a suit waiting for you there, but I need you out of it for just a little bit before we do the next bit. Are you willing to go along with this? Can you do this for us? And I will do whatever I need. Are the wisps safe, Earl? Oh, the wisps are fine. I'm sorry. That was a little bit of subterfuge I was using to keep from having to dock up with the station, because I figured that would complicate things. The wisps are all right. The wisps are fine, and I'm going to be delivering those over to you in just a moment. Just as soon as we get this next bit going here. They're fine. The two of them are weaker, but we've done what we can for it. I've reinforced their containment so that they seem to be stabilizing. They're not quite as strong as we'd like them to be, but I think actually you can probably do something for that. But again, they're fine. This isn't necessarily about that. My part of my vow to you is all but complete. Okay, they're going to be all right. Give me just a few minutes of your time, and then we'll get that sorted out. And this is not, I'm not trying to hold out on you. We're a little bit too close to the station for comfort, and I think we need to do something about that first, if that's all right. All right, Earl, I will trust you. I have to trust you, and I choose to trust you. That's good to hear there, Kay. Let's now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna have Arnav. I'm gonna go down to you with Arnav down to the system and down to the engine room, and Zeb, be ready. And as we're going, we're actually going to go to kind of a cutscene of what happened before. We go through the door and we see we're seeing Earl and Arnav kind of standing off to each other, talking about this. He goes, what Arnav is saying is, you told me that when you were trying to get to Lagrange Station that you encountered one of the tempests out in one of the nebulas. Yeah. You tried to jump and it interacted with. It was almost on you, and something happened, and it threw you halfway across the sector. Yeah, weird kind of, I don't know, some kind of accidental energy interaction. Well, I don't think it was accidental, and I'm pretty sure that That is one of the reasons that everyone is so interested in these things. I apologize. I did know more about this than I was letting on earlier. I couldn't be sure what you knew and what you didn't know. And well, by the time I trusted you, it was a little bit awkward to bring it up, so I figured I'd have to wait until it was a little bit more convenient. Unfortunately, I waited too. These things were, I suppose, made by the precursors. They've engineered a couple different locations around the sector, and I think it's mostly this sector where these things are made. As far as I know, it's just this sector where these things are born, I guess, and they're able to do quite a few things. I didn't realize that they were thinking creatures. I need you to understand that I didn't. I thought they were just energy signatures of some kind, and they were contained. That's why I was using them the way I was to find that. When I sent you on those errands and I had you find that place for them to, use that to hide away, make that little hideaway station. I didn't know what that was. I understand now, and I would take it back now if I could, but I need you to believe that. They have some means, some reason that they're able to access those precursor vaults and the passive defenses that they've got around them, like that, like the lichen on Glimmer, or that mass of goop over on Dead Rock. There's more like that. They can get to these things and they can get into these things, but more than that, they have an effect on our jump drives. That's only rumors. They don't know. They don't. I've never seen it happen, but every major faction in Moor Empire knows about it, as far as I know, and they all want a piece of it. Because what do you mean? What do you mean interact? Just what you remember from that Tempest. That was the barest brush of that thing, and it threw you halfway across the sector. They think, all of them think, that it can exponentially increase the ability to move through space. And you remember how it didn't seem to take any time? Well, that's another part of it. Instantaneous transfer. Just about as far as the theoretical models that I've seen are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous distances. That's what Meridian wants to get their hands on. That's what Jeffries Vega wants to get their hands on. That's what Lagrange wants to get their hands on. Now, they all have their different reasons for it. And when I found out what Lagrange's purpose was, I had my doubts. And the doubts were strong enough that I needed to break ties and find out for myself. Again, I didn't know they were thinking creatures, Earl. And no one's actually been able to control this interaction. Certainly you weren't able to, but I think that I've seen enough of a pattern to understand. One of these things, I think it was K, was active, maybe more than one, during a major clash out there near the grave, before that time that you don't remember. I was there. I don't remember you. I know the Zebulon Harding was there, and I was there, and there were Meridian forces, and then something happened, and suddenly none of us were anywhere near there. I eventually got picked up from a rescue beacon that I had sent out that somebody sent after. That was you, and sent by Meridian, trying to pull together everyone who'd been involved at that period of time. And I think they didn't immediately go after the Zebulon Harding, because at that point in time, the crew of the Zebulon Harding was part of Jeffries Vega Collective, and they've been working with Meridian on the sly. Grange didn't know that, but I found that out. So we had two different groups that quietly knew that they were working together, and me. Something went wrong, something went sideways, and when all their drives activated, they got thrown just about every damn direction in space. I don't think these things have been destroying ships, the Tempest. I think they're just throwing them so far away that it's taken them ages to get back, if they ever get back. What do you want me to do? Well, I've got a theory. And that's where we're going to cut back to Earl and Arnav and Kay moving into the engine room, where they got the main engine. And Earl's thinking about all this, the Tempest interacting with the engine, and whenever there was any time on the ship, Kay staying down here, but in their suit. And when Kay comes into the system now, the engine, it seems like to Earl that the engine reacts like the timbre of the engine thrum goes up a notch. And there's the Eidolon drive there, and that's a whole different thing. Are you sure this isn't just going to blow our whole damn ship up? No, I'm not. But I don't think it will. It didn't before. And I think it's about the only way that we're going to get any answers. And it's the only way I'm going to be able to verify any of what I think is the case. I will go back to Lagrange if you made the vow to do it. I'm not going to cost you your vow. But before that, I think we all need to know the truth here. All right. What do we need to do? Well, get ready. All right, Zeb. Yes, Earl. I need you to get ready to jump. The coordinates that we discussed. All right, Earl, that's not, those calculations aren't going to work. Yeah, well, we'll jump off that bridge when we come to it. All right, Earl. I will lock them in, but there's going to be an error, and I'm not sure where we're going to end up. Well, that makes two of us at the very least, and possibly three or four of us. Is everyone else secured? Asana is in medical. Fidget is, and right then the door opens up, and Fidget comes in her suit, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And she kind of squinting against it. "Kay, what are you doing?" I say, "All right, Kay, what I need you to do, just lay your hands there on the jump drive, and I need you to just share your energy with it a little bit, not too much, just a bit. I want you just to share. I want you to help it along." "Oh, I've never done anything like that." "Yes, well, we're gonna give this a shot if that's all right." "Now, what are you doing? This is not," and she's looking at Arnab. This is not the calculation." "No, it isn't. No, it is not." So there's a whole lot of stuff, and I said, and she turns to me and it's like, "Don't do this. Just don't do this." I turned to Zeb and I look at her and I was like, "I'm sorry, but I've had this question that needed answering a lot longer than anything else." "Zeb?" "Yes, sir." "Fire it up." There's a couple things that are going to happen right here. A couple of them are a little bit scary. I'm going to be doing a couple different connection moves. We're going to test relationships here. We're going to test a connection through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance here. I don't share a bond. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to test a bond with Administrator Daniel Haid because I think he would probably call it betrayal on this because certain circumstances have been taken out of his control, and it does not look like things are going very well there. So we're going to roll that first. I don't have any modifiers, and we're going to see where that guy lands. That is a weak hit. On a weak hit, I get to develop the relationship with Haid, but I also envisioned a demand or a complication as a fallout of this test. That's not hard to do. I don't know about a demand. He's not going to be able to do that just yet, but we'll probably we'll see how that shakes out. A demand or a complication as a fallout for the test, but we do get to develop. I get to develop that relationship. The complication is such that I basically stole their holy prophecy person away from them, and against their will, and probably as a result of lies and subterfuge, and that's gonna lead to a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not gonna say a very specific what the complication is. That whole situation just got more complicated. So that's that. And here at the end, one more. I don't think I have to do a test of relationship with Kay, but maybe I do. Well, actually, I'm gonna let that not be a test of the relationship necessarily, but I gotta finish that. Vow that I had with him. But I am going to test the relationship with Fidget. In this case, I do have a bond with him, and I'm going to roll that one as well. And that is also a weak hit where I'm tying the top roll. That is not great. A weak hit, develop the relationship, envision a demand or complication as a fallout from the test. So that's just super cool. All right, so both of these things happen as a result of this. We're going to go in here to develop the relationship, and if you reinforce the relationship, you may mark progress according to the rank of the connection. So Daniel Haid down here, wherever he is, we're going to mark progress on that, and that's all that happens with him. Now Fidget is already I've already finished her thing. So with her, it works a little bit differently. Roll plus their rank to learn the impact on your legacy. So I roll +1. So I just roll. All right. Roll +1. Okay. It's another weak hit. Roll plus their rank. On a strong hit, you mark 2 ticks on the bond's legacy. On a strong hit with a match. On a weak hit, take +2 momentum. All right. So I get 2 momentum in that. Fidget is angry with me, but we're not exactly building up our bond's legacy track here. But I do get a little bit of momentum in that. I know that at least she isn't angry enough with me to just sever all ties. So it's probably for the best. Completely mechanically, well, you know what? I think I can probably even wait on the vow, but yeah, I'm just gonna fulfill this and be done with it. This was also a weak hit. This was me rescuing the captured case of wisps from Meridian. That's a weak hit. So back to the moves. So this was formidable. On a weak hit, you mark your quest reward. but you either swear a vow to set things right from whatever you realize the truth of your quest is, take your full legacy reward, otherwise you make the reward 1 rank lower, which is 2 ticks, as opposed to a full box. I'm just going to take the 2 ticks, I think, actually, which still gets me some XP, which is fine. I'm already, I don't know, I've got 7 points right now that I haven't spent yet. That's probably something I should have done last session or whatever, but in any case, I did that, and that actually has me roll 1 more develop the relationship thing, because I completed a quest to their benefit, and I just roll. Now, this one's a little bit different because K is a more difficult, more sort of advanced contact, right? They're extreme, so I am rolling, +4? Yeah, and I'm going to roll +4 for completing this quest for K. So, and that gives me a +4 for, or it gives me a strong hit for completing that, which gives me 2 ticks on the Bond's legacy track. And then so all of this happens. The wisps are there. K trusts me. We see K kind of touch the jump drive, and then the ship starts to do its normal Eidolon jump, but then we cut back into the thing. And Fidget knew something. That's something else I'm taking away from this. Fidget knew something, that what this was happening here was related to whatever Lagrange station had in the back of their mind in terms of the whole plans for this thing, and that it wasn't the plan, and has not told me. So everybody holds out on Earl. Everybody, to a greater or lesser degree. Now, she might have done it because she thought it didn't matter, and there's twisted up loyalties and stuff. That's fine. That's fine. But if I held out on her, then she held out on me, and we're neither one of us, covering ourselves in glory right now, and that's fine. But also, let's not get on too high a horse there, Fidge, with all of this, because to hell with that. Anyway, we see K kind of there, and we see this glow kind of go over and coming out, coming from K into the jump drive, and then jump drive animate, and I hear Zeb say something over the comms. It starts with Earl, and then it kind of like, there's so much noise in the room. I was like, I can't even Zeb, what was that? Zeb, repeat. And then we go into the jump, and we go into the jump, and then we come out of the jump, and we are someplace else entirely. And where that is, and that's a miss with a match. Okay. So we're going to talk about this just now, just to kind of bring this up. That's a miss with a match. What a perfect time to do it. Hey, let's do an experimental Eidolon jump that we haven't prepared for at all. Yeah, miss with a match. As you can see on the screen here, I have the move Fugitive, which lets me turn that into a strong hit. And honestly, I could probably even do, I could even say it's fair to call it a strong hit with a match. But there's a problem, and it's the reason somebody asked on a previous session, 2 sessions back. I had another miss with the match, and they're like, "Don't you have the Fugitive asset?" And I do, and I'll tell you why I didn't use it. It's because it's already at 2 on the counter, and when it goes to 3, if you look at how Fugitive is written, you're hunted by a power or authority. When you make a move, you may rely on your resourcefulness to improve the result to a strong hit. If you do, you mark a box above. On the 3rd mark, a notable foe or force has tracked you down. If you overcome them or escape, clear the boxes and mark a tick on your quest legacy track, which is all fine. But at the time, I was on the Meridian Station, and the faction that I am a fugitive from is Meridian. So I didn't use it to fix any of the bad rolls, that particular bad roll on Meridian. And the reason I didn't is because I was already running the risk of running afoul of Meridian, and to use the fugitive thing when it's already at the top counter, like the last counter I had before the shit hits the fan, would have meant that I rolled badly, which means I'm going to have a big clash with the forces on Meridian Station, and I'm going to use Fugitive to turn it into a strong hit, but the result of using Fugitive and bringing it up to 3 is that I still have a big clash with Meridian, which it wasn't like mechanically I'm fine with that. If I was someplace else and dealing with some other faction entirely, some other group or whatever entirely, and I got out of this problem by also bringing Meridian into the mix, I would have absolutely gone for it, because it just complicates the whole situation. I was looking at this and going, I don't see how this makes my situation any worse. It's just, I succeed, which I then use to fail at the exact same thing I was already trying to beat. Nothing happens. So I just left it the way it was, because it didn't, to me at that point, story-wise, it didn't do anything. As much as I would have liked to do. When I hit this thing, I want Meridian to show up. and not have been there and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm still not sure that I'm going to do it here because in the fiction, we've kind of established that Meridian is on their back heel. They're on their heels right now. The station has been at least partially overrun with a precursor infested sort of humankind tech zombie thing. The ships that have been out and ranging around are not present where they have been, which means they might have been called back to the station. And I mean, just story-wise, they might be too tied up for it to make sense for them to show up, right? And I kind of feel like when you hit this, it's sort of a miss with a match result. Like you get out of it, but now a miss with a match, like they've caught up with you, is a legitimate like miss with a match kind of result. Like your big enemy, your nemesis catches up with you, whatever, is the kind of thing that you would do for the miss with a match. I already have that. I have a miss with a match. I've done something very crazy, and some might say unfairly, stupid. Possibly fairly. I have jumped to parts unknown, coordinates that shouldn't work, powering myself by a creature we don't fully understand, based on the theory of somebody who is a scout and an agent, but not a scientist. This is a perfect miss with a match time for something really crazy and stupid to happen. So I think I'm going to let this ride because it doesn't feel like this is when Meridian should show up for me burning Fugitive. And I kind of want to see what happens. So this is kind of a short, weird session, but it represents a lot of thinking on my part and a lot of digging and just kind of navel gazing and stuff. But yes, some things have come together. The wisps have always been the point. The tempests, the wisps, the wraiths have always to a certain extent been the point. They're probably tied to the events that led to the Zebulon being cast and floating in dead space at the beginning of floating out in deep space at the beginning of episode 1, and Freya's wrath floating and non-functional that we found them only a few sessions later. Still don't quite know what the deal is with the missing crew, but it's possible they weren't on the ship when the ship jumped. It echoes back the stuff with Kay always hanging out around the engines. It pulls in the stuff with the Tempest interference with the jump and throwing them across the station. I like how it all comes together, and that's been a lot of my thinking. So this short session represents a lot of thought on my part, trying to get this to all come together. And a lot of relationship tests, both with Lagrange, which I think my main complication is I have Homesteader, and I'm not sure Homesteader is going to work very well for me for a little bit. And in fact, I might probably lose Homesteader, which is going to kind of suck because that's 3 XP I'm probably not going to get back. But we'll see how that goes. There's a challenge to overcome there, and it tested Fidget, so that might have gone all kinds of sideways. And then ultimately it came down to, does this tech actually work as intended? And the answer to that comes in this dice roll, and that answer is, you done fucked up, cowboy. So next session is going to be really, really, really interesting. Hey, this was session, I think, 45. It's 23 sessions since we saw Kay standing next to the engine saying, "It just feels like kind of a familiar energy signature, almost like a heart, something that I could reach out and touch." 23 sessions since that. That was halfway through where we are right now. But I do feel like things are kind of coming to some kind of place of answers, and that's pretty exciting. Everybody, thanks. I unfortunately have to get going, otherwise I would see what was next. But for right now, we have a little bit of a cliffhanger as we jump and everything goes sideways, and then we will see what we see next. And I hope the question that was asked about why I didn't get into Fugitive it comes down to story stuff. I thank you for that question. If anybody else has questions about the stupid decisions that I make, both in or out of the game, I'm happy to answer them. Drop them in the comments. And thanks again, everybody, for all the support and the interest and the participation. Space is a big, empty, lonely place, and everybody makes this feel like it's not so bad. And I really appreciate that. So thanks all, and I'll talk to you soon.